I'm back again. Where did I go in the first place? Well, from my perspective, I am back here again in front of the camera, speaking into the void, trying to imagine that I have any kind of message. Thinking before recording this, like, what am I going to say? I was contemplating that very thing, and it seems like, oh man, like, why am I saying what I might even say? Am I trying to sell something? Am I trying to help somebody? No, not really. I feel like everyone is going to come to the conclusions that they come to based on the conditions that they are exposed to and they experience. So I kind of feel not obligated to sort of lead people in the direction I am going in, but it's almost a bit of a futile endeavor in itself. Whereas if I have my own endeavor to go in that direction myself, and then maybe someone picks up on the direction I'm going in, and that feels like a direction that sort of intuitively lines up with where they want to go, and then they inquire about what direction are you going in. Maybe I'll make a video just sort of telling my story on how I came to the Dhamma, how I got oriented into the direction that I go in. I don't know that that story is an indication of the direction I'm going in now, but it's certainly an indication of how I came to know where I want to go now. I'm a Buddhist practitioner, and I practice the principles communicated through Buddhism, but I wasn't a Buddhist practitioner before I had some spiritual inclination. And when I did have the spiritual inclination, my worldview fell apart, my self-view fell apart, and I felt I needed a spiritual framework to sort of explain and step into. And so around the time that was happening, I stepped into Buddhism, and it fit very well. At first I had this idea to like show the world that, hey guys, like, all of these spiritual and religious and frameworks are all sort of different slices of the same pie of existence and samsara, and pointing at this fact of samsara, or in some at least fractional way the Dhamma, even unintentionally. But something about religion seems to at least attempt to point towards something a little bit deeper than or self acknowledging of samsara. But once I had this idea to step into first Buddhism, to sort of become a master, and whatever that might mean, and have some authoritative word in that space, I could then shift to like Hinduism and become a master and attain some authoritative word or knowledge, reputation in that space too. And then, maybe I'd go on to Christianity and so forth and be like, okay, everyone, I've attained mastery and knowledge and practice and experience and reputation in all of these religious traditions. Now you can hear me as a unifying force across all of them. And see that sort of this difference emphasis isn't so much a good thing to do, opposed to like this unifying view. But so what happened is I stepped into Buddhism in the very first step in that process, and it fit so well. I thought to myself, wow, something about just being unified feels like actually a higher purpose than to unify everyone else. like preaching the gospel is different from practicing the gospel. And practicing the gospel realizes the unified nature of things, and also feels no need to sort of preach it or solicit it, right? So essentially my ego was like, okay, now I have to sell this thing, or it would be a good idea to. It might be a sort of wholesome idea, but also it's there, that's the ego. And so I'm like, okay, like maybe I'll just shift my intention to like just be without the ego and unified, or to create towards complete unification to arahantship, whatever you want to call that. Now I'm just another person on the path, and I just happen to be making these videos, sort of reflecting myself. It's not much more to it than that. I live very simply. I live very sort of disciplined, ethical behavior. I have pretty simple material requisites and simple material goals. Right now I feel like I'm kind of just waiting things out as things pass by, things go on. A lot of the sort of relationships that I accumulated over the years of sort of my youth have fizzled, not to anyone's expense. In fact, to a sort of simple, sort of clean-headed benefit that, these relationships were mostly just unnecessary, cloudy, and not useful to this sort of unifying endeavor. So those have fizzled, and my life has become very alone, and also very sort of simple and contented. I'm not alone in any sense of that word. I just am not pestered by the density of a human relationship and defilement, emotional defilement, and sort of innocent unawareness that is ignorant in itself, and also not something I necessarily want to associate with as I have it. Sort of being with others in ignorance amplifies my own ignorance. So I have enough on my own that I might try to avoid that same reflection in others and focus on the wholesome. I mean, a lot of times I think that there's nothing much to do about the ignorance that is there. It's to sort of just be patient and fall back on the teachings and sort of awareness, mindfulness of body, and steadiness of mind, meditation practice, goodwill. It's feels a lot simpler and less sticky to sort of transcend ignorance on my own, and I feel pretty validated in reflecting too on the teachings of which encourage solitude and material renunciation. Yeah, I hope that someone can find this and that it resonates in their heart, and that sort of amplifies the wholesome qualities that they manifest, or that they are partially have knowledge of, and so see some similarity in my manifestation of this life in themselves. And there's some rippling outward of these wholesome, positive qualities that lead to the ultimate enlightenment and freedom from suffering, of realizing the nature of consciousness, of beingness, sort of just that you may become unified in mind and realize the impermanentness of all that is there, and that none of that is the you that you may see that you are, and such. So, just a wholesome sort of broadcast and reflection, and the same moment of practice of such a thing, and amplification What is the good? What is the right? What is the wise? So that's, I suppose, my message. At least that's what I hold dear. That's the thing that I value, the direction that I keep coming back to. I was looking today through the work of Bhikkhu Bodhi, his translations and collections of the Buddha's suttas. I think something that I'd like to sort of gnaw on instead of reading in such volume. I sat down for maybe 20 minutes and got through a number of pages, but even just one sutta of maybe a paragraph could be contemplated and reflected upon for the whole day. I felt myself getting a little heady and like, okay, I'm just reading. I'm not, necessarily manifesting what I'm reading, and how could I? I just read it. But so that's something that I'm interested in. Maybe that will manifest more wholly. I didn't make the purchase of that book. I was in Barnes & Noble. I feel like I don't need to make that purchase. I could. Don't need to. I want to. I want to, I could, I don't need to, I don't want to. Okay, it's a matter of time. It's there on my phone at any moment. It's here in my mind at any moment. It's there in this world at any moment. Dhamma manifests on many levels, in many places, in all places, and yet the Nibbana is not anywhere, right? So like, how's that? How's that track? Just that Nibbana is this realization that any people, places, things, any sense thing, any framework you'd like to use to communicate what is this entirety of being, that is not the perspective of it all being not me, not the everything that is, not the whole story. It totally impermanent, constantly changing. That one jumps right out. Like anywhere I perceive, there is that. And paradoxically, in some way of looking, is Nibbana, which is different from sort of the impermanentness, the impermanent objects, right? So I'm hearing, like, seeing as I'm hearing seeing. No, I'm hearing the thought in my mind of the Buddhist teaching, which was Nibbana as seeing, hearing as hearing, feeling as feeling. That's the clear view of Nibbana, of enlightenment, of the ineffable. I mean, yeah, so just trying to put a word on this is fascinating. I actually often do have trouble talking around it, because no word seems futile to even like, why even make that effort rather than make the effort towards it itself, rather than communicating some derivative of it. But so my favorite word associated with it is another of the Buddhist sayings, that this is light that lands on nothing, is a beautiful metaphor to represent this Nibbana, this enlightenedness, this particular view. I think I've gone way over time, so I hope that the lighting is good and I'm properly in the rule of thirds in this shot, and that you are well, happy, peaceful, and on your path encouraged and inspired by mine, and that these qualities can become uplifted in each other's presence. So thank you.